First off here, I just want to show you this is a higher level character right here, but I only put a few stat points in here to give you a little bit of strength and a little bit of vitality. And the gear is got some to be desired, to say the least. I got a stealth, I got a random staff, I got some random boots, I got a little caster belt here. No big deal. I just threw this on to kind of simulate having a leaf staff or something like that, but I took off anything even as good as a spirit sword or something. So we are in normal right here, right now. With the Hydra Sorceress build, you're not going to be going into Hydra right away, because as you see down here, it actually takes level 30 to get to, which maybe right when you're leaving normal, possibly you'd be level 30. Maybe you won't even be that high yet. But talking about going through normal specifically, you see down here, the synergies are Firebolt and Fireball. So that's these two skills right up here. So through normal, you can easily use these skills to get yourself through normal. And fire skills, believe it or not, are actually very powerful in Diablo 2 Resurrected through normal. So actually this type of build going this way, you're going to be a-okay going with the Hydra Sorceress build, even though you aren't technically using it yet. But going down that skill tree, you're going to be doing great through normal. So that kind of leads me into a pro for this build. You don't have to necessarily use a respec. A lot of people, if you're going into Blizzard, they'll go into fire at first, or maybe they'll go into lightning skills and using a bunch of charge bolt and max that out, and then when they get to a point where it gets too hard, they'll go ahead and respec into the build they want to do. It used to always be Blizzard, but perhaps now it would be the Hydra build. But if you're going with any of these builds on the fire side, you don't have to waste a respec just halfway through the game going back now into the build that you actually want to play, because Firebolt and Fireball are both synergies for Hydra. You can go straight down these at the very beginning. Those points are not ended up wasted into those skills. They will be perfect for once you get down to Hydra to use that to synergize to increase that damage even more. Just an example to show you the power of these fire skills here. I got Fireballs just coming out to normal Eldritch and Shank here. And you can see it's doing pretty good. You could easily get through the game all by yourself with these skills. No problem at all. And actually showing off the power of that fire skill, I didn't realize game difficulty set to players 3. So I just did that on players 3 on complete accident. And you've seen how good that worked here in normal. So now we're transitioning into, you see up in the corner there, Nightmare, and I've added some stat points over here to kind of simulate going up some levels here, maybe roughly around 40, 45, so kind of towards the end of Nightmare, and I went ahead and now you're high enough level, you can get Hydra. I put 7 base points into that, had a few more going to Fireball, put a few more into Fire Mastery to really get that fire damage up, so now the Hydras are roughly simulated to where they would be in Nightmare. But first off right here, we're going to go ahead and jump to the Frigid Highlands, a very quick and easy place to kind of show you how the build can work. But we're going to start off with these monsters just going ahead and taking us on right at the beginning here. Thanks a lot. But there you go, you see you got the Hydra shooting, and you got the fireballs at your disposal. You can cast these from a very long distance, just kind of sit back. Ooh, baby, just kind of let them do their thing, no big deal. Let's see how they're doing. And they took out a bunch of them already. You can come up here and start blasting some fireballs to deal even more damage. And this is just players 1 playing through the game by yourself. Obviously, if you're online, not solo, you'll have more help, but there you can see it does definitely do work all by its own. So here we are now in Hell, and I went ahead and simulated roughly around level 70 by getting more of this in here and getting more strength so you can wear your gear. And over on the gear, it's kind of the same as what I had on the Nightmare one. You don't really level your gear up that much more on a playthrough generally, because it just takes a lot of farming in order to eventually get that better gear. This is generally what I would finish the game on all the time, no matter what sorceress build I'm going after. So here it's where we kind of come to one of the biggest issues. I'm going to go ahead and throw these down, and we'll go ahead and take a look at how these Hydras are going to go. These casters are not immune to fire. These Venom Lords absolutely are. They're mega powerful, and they deal a ton of damage, and obviously fire ain't doing anything to them. We're going to come up here a little bit more. Here's some more stuff immune to fire in the Cast Sanctuary, the Doom Knights. Now the Doom Knights are kind of slow, whatever, but you got to get away and you got to clear this stuff out, or you're never going to have a chance here in the Cast Sanctuary. So this build will absolutely struggle in the Chaos Sanctuary. And by struggle in the Chaos Sanctuary, I mean you almost literally cannot clear the Chaos Sanctuary with this build by yourself. You're going to have somebody to help you out. Now, if you're playing online in full parties, that might not be a problem, but I just wanted to give you that knowledge, that information. Any fire build in the entire game, including this one, when you get the Chaos Sanctuary, it's essentially a no-go. Now, I'm going to go ahead and say, let's say we're going in a full game, and we're going to go off and farm by ourselves. So we'll go ahead and go to player 7, and we'll go ahead and jump to Eldritch and Shank. This is with that same build. We're trying to farm better gear here in order to, get our character better, maybe get some experience. And obviously you want to get those Shakos and Oculuses and stuff like that. So we'll go ahead and throw these Hydras out here, and we're going to let them cast away while we're not getting hit. They can cast and cast and cast and cast. And let's see exactly on a higher player difficulty, like this is player 7, so almost a full game. The Hydras just were out there for the full length, and they were casting away. And what did they do? They did not kill a single monster. Not one. We'll go ahead and cast some more up here. So a whole nother set of Hydras. They're casting away, they're attacking. They still have not killed a single monster yet. And they went away again, and they did not kill a single one of Eldritch's minions. Now here's, we'll go ahead and throw these out here again. And that's what this build right here. Once again, here they come over, they run away again. They're very, very fast. You are not killing any of these guys. So that is one thing to take into consideration if you're going to be playing in games with other people. Even Eldritch's minions, this Hydra build cannot do anything to them. So here we are at Mo tricking Mephisto. It's one of the only things that this build can actually do. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at exactly how this works here. We're on Players 1 difficulty with that gear that I came to hell with the Spirit Sword, with the Stealth. We're going to go ahead and lower res them, and we'll go ahead and drop these Hydras on top of them and see what that does to them. Now this is Players 1 difficulty with lower res on Mephisto. Look at the speed right here that it is taking out Mephisto. I would not particularly call that fast. I mean, it's working. This is one of the things he can do. And you can see I just went ahead and put in Players 1 difficulty. We'll check the options real quick just to show and prove to you. This is Players 1 difficulty, Mo tricking Mephisto at roughly what a level 70 sorceress would be. It can do it, but I mean, you judge how fast it is for yourself. Now here we are at one of the other places, one of the only other places you can use a fire sorceress here in Diablo 2 that's going to work really good, especially with the weakness of the Hydra sorceress, and that's the Stony Tombs. Now, you generally are going to watch out, especially these beetles. They deal a ton of lightning damage there. So I'm going to go ahead and try not to get taken out right now by those. So this is one of the good things of the build right here. You can drop down the Hydras and run away and kind of run back and hide. Now, the poison down here is mad slappage. Look at that sucker go right there. It's almost impossible to keep your life up if you get poisoned. Do not get poisoned down here. But you can see you can drop the Hydras from a distance away. You can run and hide if you want to. You do have that advantage. Those couple skeletons there are already taken out. You kind of got to play pretty slow down in here if you're kind of weak like this particular character is. I don't really have a lot of resistances is what I mean. I'm not talking about the damage right there. But down those go. You can do things like this. You can pop open the door, put some Hydras inside the room like this, and go ahead and stand back and go ahead and let them take everything out. This is Players 1 difficulty, once again, remember that. Here you go, I see them shooting over there, so there must be more monsters over there. There's the beetles. Watch out for those suckers. Now, this is the new level 85 area, if you didn't know. Do I think this is faster than a Blizzard Sorceress in the Ancient Tunnels or anything like that? I'll let you decide by watching how that was working out. As for another new 85 area here, come to the Spider Forest waypoint. Hop down in the Arachnid's lair. This is supposed to be another good area for fire sorceresses. You go ahead. I particularly can't stand this area. There's just so many. It's all blocked off so much, and it just seems kind of difficult to do. But this is just an opinion on what I like or don't like doing. So that's just what it is. Ooh, these bats are fast. We're going to go ahead and hop away from those real quick. Maybe find it. And this is part of the reason why I don't like this area. There's a billion little corridors, especially for the Hydra. You can't really control what's going on here. Now, if you were using something like a Nova or something down in here, some sort of Nova that would take these guys out, but there's a lot of lightning damage on these things, so that wouldn't really work out. It is an area now that is an 85 area, so you could use any of these fire builds down here. So we talked about some of the pros and cons, and I want to talk about one more pro here, actually. If you were a high level, here we're level 83, so we'll go ahead and pump a bunch more points into like this stuff. We're going to want to use a spirit shield, so we're going to get the points up there. That's good enough for that particular thing. And we're going to want to go ahead and max these ones out now, at least to get those, to get that damage up. We're left with 23 more skill points. If you wanted to, you could go ahead and dual spec this sorceress. A lot of people love dual specking. I personally always recommend don't do that. Maybe if you're doing a solo playthrough untwinked and you gotta like play through real slow and kill stuff, you can go ahead and do that. But I personally wouldn't generally recommend that. We'll go ahead and just put the one into the Cold Mastery and put the rest of them into Frozen Orb to get the damage up. It doesn't do a ton. Now you do have that cold from Frozen Orb now, and you have the fire damage from Hydra. There are other ways you can go with that as well. I've heard of people talking about Nova because it just has the one synergy and the lightning mastery here. So if you want to do some different things, Nova Hydra, or this is a different build obviously, but Frozen Orb Nova I've heard talked about. But it is possible to dual spec this build if you want to not completely maximize the Hydra damage, but you want to dual spec it instead. You can definitely do that.